Welcome back, guys. I've got some bittersweet news for you today. Some bad news, but that may eventually turn into good news depending on how you look at it. I'm going to discuss the market, which is nothing but good news, and a little tidbit at the end. Looking at the market, we are over $3,500 per Bitcoin. 3523. It is growing so fast. Seriously, so fast. Every single day there's gains. Unless you're Ethereum, which is kind of floundering. People, I think, more flocking towards Neo than Ethereum, at least for the moment. Bitcoin Cash growing slightly. So the thing is, Bitcoin has risen so much lately. Ethereum has risen from a market cap of 21 billion to 28 within the space of a week. IOTA is a huge gainer, has gone from around 1.2 billion market cap to 1.9 in the space of about a week. Look at this chart. Straight up to the corner. Neo, I think, where did we see the peak for Neo? Around $36. And now it's down a little bit. This generally tends to happen when you get sudden price increases. Then the price comes sharply down to a certain point of resistance. Then it consolidates until the next jump. Mostly there'll be next jumps. If the coin has a good development team, a good presence behind it, there should always be the next jump. Bitcoin's a really good example because you can see it so clearly. There's years of data here. But there was this one jump, then it came down, bit of consolidating. That lasted a very long time. Another jump, consolidating, another jump, and so on and so forth. But Bitcoin Cash not really growing that much at all. One of the slowest growers, but better than Litecoin. I'd be so annoyed if I was a huge Litecoin holder. Out of nowhere comes this competitor and just enters the space and enters in higher than you. Just really annoying for Litecoin holders. I'm no doubt going to get asked, is now still a good time to buy Neo? And I always struggle to say to people to buy in at all-time highs. But if you're looking long-term, I think it's difficult for any of the top 10 coins, apart from maybe Ethereum Classic, any of the others in 6 months' time to not be worth more. I think that would be an extremely unlikely thing to happen, that your investment 6 months down the line is not going to be worth more out of those 9 out of 10 in the top 10. Not saying you should buy it, but if you feel like you should. But if you got in earlier, or if you got in earlier on any other coin, it's kind of like winning the lottery in slow motion. Something kind of like that. I think it's an apt analogy, at least. Moving on to the news. Some bittersweet news. I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones. No spoilers here, but HBO was hacked. Over a terabyte of data stolen. Apparently, the full season script is part of that data that was stolen. The hackers are demanding a ransom in Bitcoin, otherwise they're going to leak it online. Now that's terrible. That's an awful thing. Plot spoilers are awful. But why is this potentially a growth sector? Well, HBO would need to buy the Bitcoin. Where they're going to get it, I'm not sure. They're apparently seeking for $250,000 worth of it. That would definitely cause at least a short-term price increase. I'm not sure how much, but ransoms are one of the top 4 reasons of Bitcoin growing. So there's your silver lining. Now, why, you might ask, would they want Bitcoin instead of Monero? Why, when the ransomware attacks were going on, why were they asking for Bitcoin instead of Monero, something with privacy? Because Bitcoin's public knowledge. Well, I think the main reason is most people don't know how to buy Bitcoin, yet alone Monero. So I think they're just making it easier for them. It's not very difficult once the hackers get the Bitcoin to transfer it into Monero, back out into Bitcoin in a different wallet, essentially untraceable. So what are the other growth sectors I see? That's a major one. Another major one is illegal activities, illegal drugs, such as websites like the Silk Road and Alphabet. These will continue to see people flocking to cryptocurrencies to pay for these things because it's a bit hard to justify to their banks when their statements say £40 on X, £20 on weed, whatever. So that's a key draw to people to use cryptocurrencies. Now I'm going to mention two more. These ones are much bigger reasons why Bitcoin will continue to grow. So I mentioned recently that gold and silver and stocks weren't growing at the same rate that Bitcoin is currently. So for investors, you can choose something that you might gain 10-20% gains if you're lucky, if you hold for years, or you can buy Bitcoin and get 10-20% gains in a week. What would you rather go for? And I know it's much more turbulent, there are a lot more risks, but that seems to be what's happening. And there's a lot more money in the more traditional investment, shall I say, than there is in cryptocurrencies. So I can see more of the traditional investment money going out of them and into Bitcoin, or at least cryptocurrencies in general, Ethereum, etc. My number one reason why Bitcoin will continue to grow is the inevitable global financial crisis that we're headed to. Now, for example, the United States alone is in debt, has a national debt of over $20 trillion. That's way outstripping how much revenue they earn. Trump said he could eliminate that debt before he became president over 8 years, although he seems to be adding to it, potentially doubling it by the time he's through in office. So we're headed for currencies that are dependent on single nations going down. A global currency where it's not dependent on any one nation will be the answer. They will solve the problems that banks are going to face not being able to give people their money because they essentially don't have it. The world runs on credit. When their credit's gone, so's the numbers in your bank account that you supposedly have. It's all a bit scary, but it's a huge growth sector for cryptocurrencies. Another small growth for cryptocurrencies is positive news. What positive news am I referring to? The CEO of Nvidia, very rich man, I'm sure, is saying cryptocurrencies are here to stay. Thank you for confirming what we already knew. Now he goes on to say, and I feel like this statement is completely false, but he says it's clear that the GPU is fantastic at cryptography. The answer is it's not. Bitcoin wastes so much energy. Through all of the people mining Bitcoin at the moment, they use more electricity than the whole state of Nevada. Las Vegas, all those lights, they use more electricity than that. It's awful for the planet. It's just wasteful. Proof of stake models that don't require this man's GPUs are better for the environment, better long term. Just makes more sense. Not for his wallet though, so I can understand why he said that. That's not good for his wallet. Doesn't want you to know that. Mine. Buy an Nvidia GPU. Buy a 1080 Ti for mining. That'd be a terrible idea, by the way. Buy an Antminer, something like that, if you're interested in mining. Or get a Genesis cloud mining contract. Whatever, do your research. But a 1080 Ti is not a good value proposition for mining. Now, before I get on out of here, I'm going to show you an image which describes what's going on in my life. It might describe what's going on in yours. And before I get questions, this is The Witcher 3, one of my favorite games of all time. I highly recommend that you play, although this is not gaming advice. I'm not a professional gamer. And on that note, I'm out. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.